Have you ever had that feeling that something just doesn't quite add up behind the scenes at Newcastle United? A strange kind of silence, movements that start off subtle but gradually gain weight as they echo through the halls of St. James Park. Well, supporter, something interesting is definitely happening behind the club's recent decisions, and you might not have noticed yet. We're talking about one of those sudden, quiet opportunities that can have a massive impact on the squad. The kind of move that, once revealed, gets everyone thinking, is this really what the club is planning? And this isn't your usual type of rumor involving a Premier League household name or some flashy deal with a European giant. Quite the opposite. The story we're about to tell you today involves strategy, patience, and, above all, vision. What's fascinating is that while most clubs are scrambling to sign superstars at sky-high prices, Newcastle appear to be on the verge of making a bold move targeting a talent who, until recently, had fallen off the radar, but who now could turn out to be the bargain of the summer. If you follow this channel, you already know, when things start heating up behind the scenes at Newcastle, something big is usually brewing. So now is the perfect time to hit that subscribe button. Here you stay up to date with everything going on, from the hottest rumors to the decisions being made well away from the spotlight. And more than that, every subscription helps us grow and bring you even more quality, in-depth content, especially for you loyal Toonami fans. What makes this situation even more intriguing is that the club is looking to reinforce a position that's been under scrutiny all last season, the right wing. With Miguel Almiron now gone, Eddie Howe urgently needs someone who can bring pace, creativity, and end product, someone who can change games when it matters. And that's where the name that could change everything comes into play. A name that was once a rising star but has now become a bit of a mystery, but now he's on the market for what can only be described as a serious bargain. Yes, supporter. We're talking about Johan Bakayoko. According to reports from the Chronicle and confirmed by Sky Sports, PSV Eindhoven have slashed their asking price for the young right winger, who was once valued at around £35 million. Now, the Dutch club are reportedly willing to accept offers in the region of £17 million to move him on during this transfer window. That's right, more than a 50% drop in value, all to speed up a deal and end a chapter that lost momentum towards the end of last season. So what's behind this price drop? Bakayoko's recent form with PSV has been inconsistent. After a promising start, he lost his place in the starting and, according to the Chronicle, even requested to play for the B team just to get some minutes on the pitch. This dip in form, combined with PSV's need to generate income this summer, has led the club to accept a much lower fee than originally expected. And this is exactly where Newcastle see a strategic opportunity. Eddie Howe, who has already proven he can revitalize players and unlock the potential of young talents, sees Bakayoko as a project full of promise. At 22 years old, the Belgian still has plenty of room to grow, and he fits perfectly into the profile Howe loves to develop. Of course, the challenge lies in balancing this developmental process with the urgent need for results, because Newcastle need a right winger who can deliver from the moment he steps on the pitch. But at such a low cost, the club is seriously considering the idea of investing in him, and perhaps even bringing in another more experienced option to share the load. Bakayoko's name is now gaining strength again, precisely because other targets have proven more expensive and difficult to negotiate. A clear example is Anthony Elanga from Nottingham Forest. Newcastle reportedly submitted a £45 million offer, only to have it immediately rejected. Forest are said to be holding out for around £60 million for the Swedish winger, which naturally forces Newcastle to seek more affordable alternatives, bringing Bakayoko firmly back into the picture. And that's not all. The Magpies are also keeping tabs on players like Mohamed Kudus of West Ham and Karim Adeyemi of Borussia Dortmund, both of whom carry significantly higher price tags. Against this backdrop, Bakayoko represents excellent value for money, especially for a club that needs to strengthen the squad while also keeping financial stability in mind due to financial fair play regulations. Let's not forget that Newcastle are closely monitoring their accounting room to maneuver, and smart signings like this could be the key to building a strong team without stretching the budget. If you've made it this far and haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time. That way, you won't miss the next chapters in this story, because, as you know, things in football can change in an instant. Your subscription helps us keep producing daily content, with reliable updates straight from sources like Sky Sports, The Chronicle, and other respected media outlets across English and European football. Back to the Bakayoko case, there's another important layer to this potential deal. The Belgian was already on Newcastle's radar last season when Miguel Almiron's departure was first being discussed, which has now officially happened. In other words, this isn't a new interest. Back then, the problem was PSV's high asking price. But now, with that fee dramatically reduced, the whole picture has changed. It's as if a window of opportunity has reopened, only this time, with a much more attractive price tag. Inside the club, some see this deal not just as a chance to sign a promising player, but as a valuable asset that could rise in market value quickly under Howe's management. Speaking of Eddie Howe, it's worth highlighting just how vital he's been in Newcastle's rebuild. Since his arrival, The manager has created a competitive team with clear identity and intensity even amid injuries and budgetary constraints. Howe has a strong track record with young players, and names like Joe Linton and Longstaff prove it. So imagining Bakayoko under his guidance isn't far-fetched, especially considering the Belgians' pacey, direct style of play. Of course, there are still challenges. Bakayoko isn't a finished product, and his recent form raises questions about his consistency. But at £17 million, the risk seems much smaller, especially if the club decide to keep Jacob Murphy as a short-term solution while Bakayoko adapts to the Premier League's demanding pace. That way, Newcastle could gain valuable squad depth without losing competitiveness, while also planning for the future with more breathing room. And if you're one of those fans who live and breathe Newcastle United and want to stay ahead of everything happening behind the scenes, don't forget to turn on notifications here on the channel. That way you'll be the first to know whenever a new update drops, and trust me, this Bakayoko saga is far from over. In fact, there may be other clubs entering the race for his signature very soon. According to Sky Sports, clubs from both the Bundesliga and Ligue 1 are also monitoring Bakayoko's situation. This means Newcastle need to act quickly and decisively if they want to secure the player before other heavyweights join the chase. That's why the coming days are expected to be crucial. There's a real possibility that an official bid could be made soon, especially if talks with Nottingham Forest over Elanga fail to progress. The board understands the need to act smartly and, more importantly, swiftly. Newcastle fans who've seen their club rise from relegation battles to fighting for the Champions League in record time know that every transfer window is an opportunity to take the next big step on this journey. Johan Bakayoko might not be the flashiest signing of the market, but he's got all the ingredients for a success story. Young, talented, overlooked, and hungry for a comeback, everything Newcastle needs to repeat the success of past bold moves. Now it's over to you, supporter. What do you make of Bakayoko potentially joining Newcastle? Is £17 million a worthy investment for a player like him, or should the club target someone more established, even if it costs a lot more? Drop your thoughts in the comments, they matter a lot to us. And of course, if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. Hit that button and join us in following every step of this thrilling Newcastle journey. See you in the next video.